Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to the 13th episode of the Qazwini Brothers podcast. My name is Sayyid Muhammad Rada, and joined with me today is my dear elder brother, Sayyid Muhammad Jawad Qazwini. The term fake news has been made popular fairly recently, although fake news has always been around. Same with propaganda and brainwashing techniques that are incorporated into the news media. Since it's so easy to disguise them these days, especially on social media platforms and cyber information, we want you to know everything when it comes to fake news and for you to all be up to date on that.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. Respected brothers and sisters, viewers, friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to another episode of the Qazwini Brothers show, where we will be discussing a very important topic, fake news. And I believe that we encounter this topic on a daily basis, in fact several times a day. Therefore, we need to be completely aware on this matter. Whether it's reading an article, whether it's reading a newspaper, a magazine, or watching the news on your television screens, or the forwards that you get on social media, those are all somewhat considered news. And then we have to ask ourselves which ones of those are truth and which ones of those are false, and how do we involve ourselves with them. Where is the Islamic point of view when it comes to fake news? That is something that we're going to also try to focus on today. So I look forward to, inshallah, a healthy discussion.
Yeah, so we're going to be going over 5 main points today. First, we're going to talk about what fake news is. We'll define it. Then we're going to talk about brainwashing, so propaganda and those kind of techniques. We'll talk about social media, which is really important, especially nowadays. Then we'll talk about the Islamic perspectives on fake news, and we'll talk about the importance of Muslim youth in journalism. So when we hear the term fake news, we obviously associate that as a political term, But what is fake news really? And I know fake news has always been around, but the term might just be made, fairly recently, but propaganda and brainwashing always been around.
Yeah, so fake news or brainwashing or false information, basically, or changing the truth, for whatever reason, we're not discussing the reasons right now, has always existed since probably the inception of life on Earth, since human beings existed and coexisted amongst themselves. There were always people who were defaming others, who were creating fake news, spreading fake news, and they realized this sense within people that they are attracted to this kind of phenomenon. For example, today studies indicate that certain negative news, news that actually is not healthy for society, is the news that generates a lot of engagement. So I read this article about this weather reporter who was a good-looking blonde lady, and she had competitives for that job, for that specific job that she was working on, and she basically wakes up one day and she's bombarded with hate messages, with tweets, with emails, even death threats. So she's very surprised. She doesn't know what's going on. And what happens is, then she realizes that she's tagged in a video where there's this blonde girl that looks very much like her in a salon, and she disrespects an African American a woman.
Mhm.
And she's very rude to her. So they've taken this video and they've said, oh, it's so-and-so that's doing this. And obviously people see her as a public figure, and that video is very disrespectful to the people of color.
Mhm.
So the video goes viral, and then she's accused of this. And basically she goes through a phase of being accused for a very long time until she starts proving herself innocent. But unfortunately, what had happened was there was a lot of engagement with that news, and other news agencies were picking it up, and some famous people were retweeting it, and some verified individuals were behind it. Why? Because it creates momentum, it creates engagement.
Right.
And news agencies, that's exactly how they work. You know, they might put out an article or news that destroys lives, that's not good for society, that's not healthy for society, but all they care about is what's getting us more comment, what's getting us more engagement. So from the beginning of life, I would say, this phenomenon has existed. People feed off that which engages people, that which entertains people. I was listening to somebody speak on the matter, and they said something very beautiful. They said every time they put out the Kardashians in any sort of news or tabloids or newspaper on the internet, you find the greatest amount of engagement. But a lot of them are negative. A lot of people are like, you know what, get rid of those guys. We don't want them on our feed. What are they doing here? The news agency or that internet platform doesn't really care what the comments are.
Right.
It cares that there's a lot of engagement and this is going viral. So the same thing applies to the way human beings think. And some people picked up on that very early, you know, since the inception of life, I would say. That is why you find that Allah in the Holy Quran actually focuses on this phenomenon a lot.
Mm.
Many of us have read the Quran, you know, in the month of Ramadan. It's, you know, 25 days within our recitation. We could be, you know, on the 25th juz'ah, almost done with the Quran, but we don't really pick up on those very delicate ideas. And you find that within the Holy Quran, Allah speaks of this phenomenon. You know, Ibrahim, and how he had to encounter fake news, and how he was accused. Similarly goes, for example, for the Prophet Nuh. You know, why is it that for all those years Nuh was propagating and nobody was believing in him? It's because of all the fake news, all the propaganda that went against him. Similarly Moses, similarly Jesus, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam suffered a lot from the fact that there were a lot of people spreading rumors about him. There were a lot of people accusing him. There were a lot of people defaming him and spreading fake news about him. And until today, and then later on after him, Imam Ali. You know, when Imam Ali was struck by the sword,
Right.
of Ibn Muljam in prayers, after the news had reached Sham, people of Sham had said, oh, we didn't know that Ali prays.
Wow.
So there was so much propaganda, fake news spread about Imam Ali in Sham that people were surprised that he even prays. Imagine, the first Muslim, the one who basically, because of him, the religion of Islam was prosperous.
Mm-hmm.
The most important man next to Rasulullah, now they're accusing him of the fact that, you know, we didn't even know he used to pray. So fake news has always existed and exists until today. You know, we watch it every day on the on the news. We read articles, especially with social media. And we Muslims, we understand this more than others maybe, or other minorities such as the African Americans, such as the Hispanics, you know, Mexicans, Mexican Americans, African Americans, Muslim Americans. Why? Because we find a lot of fake news being spread about us. You know, the whole Islamophobia was made and manufactured by the media and by fake news.
Right.
So, you know, it's a very important topic. It needs to be discussed, and we need to understand it.
Yeah. There's a lot of components to fake news. The most specific one, obviously, brainwashing or propaganda. And we see this, usually leading up to a war or something big, there's a lot of propaganda that is used to brainwash people and get them on board on an idea that they probably wouldn't be normally. So when it comes to brainwashing, propaganda, things of that nature, how can we differentiate it, or what is it all about?
So brainwashing is actually something that's studied, thoroughly studied by scholars of human behavior. And brainwashing is two types of brainwashing. One is a brainwashing that, it's called the negative and the positive. The positive, though it can be negative, is the type that you're being brainwashed. You know that you're being affected. You know that your mindset is changing, but you're okay with it. The other one is the type that you don't know. You're getting brainwashed in a way where you don't realize that you're changing, your habits are changing, your belief is changing. And with modern technology today, especially with AI, both of them are very much possible, especially the second one. Right. When we discussed AI, I said there could be a time where you're actually going to marry someone and live with that person, not knowing that you were directed in this direction, or you're going to have a specific belief system.
Right.
You're going to believe in certain things. You're going to do certain things willingly, happily, but you're driven to do that. Obviously, using modern technology, we are subject of this type of slavery.
Right.
And it really is a form of slavery. We will become slaves to big companies that will force us to buy certain things, to act in certain ways, to behave in certain ways, to look forward to that that weekend where we're going to spend all our savings.
Right.
Or to look forward to buying things on the weekend and making them trillionaires, while we go broke and we end up buying a lot of things that we don't even need. Or the fact that this for example, I'll tell you how people could be brainwashed easily. I mean, brainwashing is different levels, but you sit and you watch a commercial on TV, right? And you find this commercial that they use the best roads, the cleanest roads. They use it in the time of the spring where there's so much flower, there's so much beauty, and then they get this most good-looking person behind the wheel. All this put together will brainwash you that this car is going to make you feel special.
Right.
And it's going to give you so much confidence. But at the end of the day, it's just a normal car. They have put that in a specific scenario where it brainwashes us to believe that this is how it's going to be for us as well,
Right.
Similarly, for example, we are brainwashed to believe a lot of things and act in a lot of ways that happen to us every single day. Now, there's two types of brainwashing, like I said, and brainwashing can happen due to many factors. It can happen through fear, people that are scared. I remember they went around asking people in America, why was the war on Iraq and Afghanistan very important? And you wouldn't believe it. I don't know if this was Jay Leno or some kind of show that went around asking people, and a lot of people are actually saying because if we don't get Saddam, he's going to come and invade us.
Right.
That tells you those guys are beyond brainwashed, because there is no way on earth that Saddam would have gotten his troops to the United States. He had no ability to do that. He had no power to do that. And even if he wanted to, how's he going to get there from Iraq to the United States?
Yeah.
So people were brainwashed to an extent out of fear. People were afraid. Oh, if we don't vote for this president, then some other president's going to come who is going to let Saddam invade us. Similarly, it goes for a lot of things that the media tells us about. For example, what happened in 9/11 and what happens after 9/11 and the whole war on terrorism. For example, we all know that the majority of the money, majority of the hijackers, majority of the association, directly and indirectly, in the 9/11 attack came from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
That's a known fact. Everybody knows this. That's not something anybody can deny. But today, one of the greatest allies of the United States is also Saudi Arabia.
Right.
We know that Saudi Arabia is the creator of Wahhabism, and the same mentality and movement and mindset and school of thought that ISIS has, Taliban has, Al Qaeda has. But in the same time, we are going on this global war on terrorism while still keeping Saudi Arabia as our biggest ally or the greatest ally.
Right.
Those contradictions are changed within the media. And then people are brainwashed to believe that, somehow this is okay. And others are also brainwashed using, what I just said, using the American, hatred towards America, hatred towards, for example, countries such as France or Germany or the United Kingdom, but specifically America, to create and brainwash terrorism. ISIS, what does ISIS do? ISIS brainwashes people.
Right.
Those guys that joined ISIS, if you read about them or watch their documentaries, you will see that there was this extremely powerful method they used to brainwash people, and they were very successful at it. In fact, that's the only thing they did very well. That got them so much success, brainwashing people. Whether it's through images, whether it's through films, whether it's through speeches, whether it's through the internet, but that's how they were recruiting people, through brainwashing them. Similarly, Al Qaeda did the same thing in Iraq. Here's a young guy who does not have the ability to seek education, upper education. He does not have a job. He does not have electricity most of the time at home. He doesn't have clean water to drink. His government is very corrupt. And he's got, 5-6 people he needs to take care of. And he finds that there's absolutely no hope in life. How is he going to continue this life? So, when somebody comes and offers this guy $10,000 to go detonate a bomb and tell him that soon enough all this misery is going to end. You're going to end up with a prophet. You're going to end up, you can't get married now, but you're going to end up with 70 virgins in paradise. This guy, he's going to get brainwashed. And mosques are doing this, so it's a place where people trust. And he's going to do it. That is why I think the greatest form of countering brainwashing and countering fake news is through education, through educating people. Though studies indicate that educated people could also be brainwashed, but a lot differently.
Right.
Educated people can be brainwashed through, for example, seduction. They could be seduced into believing, oh, you're going to get $1 million. Oh, you're going to be, a billionaire. You're going to... That is how they are also brainwashed and driven to do certain things that they wouldn't do otherwise.
Yeah. Propaganda, when it was in newspapers or magazines, it would only reach a certain audience. For example, if a magazine was printed in Germany and it was a Nazi propaganda magazine, it would only reach people in Nazi Germany. But now that we have social media, propaganda is able to reach an audience on a massive scale, If there's these bots. So this was exposed within the last election. There's these certain firms that specialize in creating robots that retweet and post and share certain things on social media. And in that case, 5 million retweets all of a sudden, within 1 hour, that reaches the whole entire world in one tweet. So how can we abstain from being brainwashed or, seeing fake news and maybe believing it when it comes to social media?
Yeah, I feel that we keep accusing media, but we don't understand we are part of media as well.
Right.
We are the greatest component of social media. This happens to everybody, literally, where you're getting, somebody's being defamed, somebody's life is being shattered, somebody's being dragged around and bullied on social media, and we somehow like this post, we retweet this post, we spread this post, or we talk about this post, whatever it may be, this is generating fake news.
Right.
This is being involved in fake news. Or we get so much fake news on WhatsApp, WhatsApp forwards, especially those who literally have nothing else to do. They're sitting at home all day looking at WhatsApp and sending you forwards.
Right.
And you find that, at least 5% out of 5 times out of 10, you're going to get fake news from them. Because they're just sending whatever they get. They're just forwarding it to everybody. And here are a lot of people who will send that because they think, those people are so naive, why would they send this to me? So they send it to another group of people to make fun of them. Or some people believe it and forward it. Some people, want to forward it to others to ask whether this is true or not. But in the end of the day, it's engagement. Mm-hmm. We're getting involved in it. And we are part of the news now. We are part of fake news now. We are the creators, manufacturers, the aid to spreading fake news, especially on social media. Mm-hmm. With YouTube, with Instagram, videos, verify, is this the person that, pictures, Photoshop, mm-hmm. Is this the person that you think it is?
Right.
Is this picture verified? And then ask yourself, what is your motive behind it? What is your motive behind doing this? Is it a motive that you can answer in the day of judgment to Allah that, I did this and it's okay? Because Allah might actually forgive the sins that we commit between us and Him. Whether it's salah or siyam or drinking or whatever. But the other sins where we've destroyed somebody's life, Allah says you have to go and ask them. If they forgive you, I'll forgive you. And on the day of judgment, things are not going to be as easy as they are today, where you can text someone or call someone and ask for forgiveness from them. No. On that day, everybody's going to be desperately thinking of themselves. So, if you wreck somebody's home or you aid that, that's all happening with social media. I read about this activist a while back. I read about this guy who was involved in some political movement. Bless you. Thank you. And basically, those who he opposed, they did something that does not require a lot of time or help and literally destroyed his life. What did they do? He was a professor. So they kept sending letters, just made up letters, mm-hmm. to his house, to his wife, saying that, your husband has had affairs with young college students.
Right.
And that's it. As simple as that. There's no evidence, there's no proof, but it destroyed his marriage, it destroyed his life, it wrecked his home. Then later on, when the FBI got involved and it was becoming death threats, because at a lot of times, when you basically let the authorities know, or even, for example, Twitter, you say, this is somebody doing this, spreading hate or accusation, they'll tell you, this doesn't go against our guidelines. They realized that this person was sending pictures, but they were all photoshopped. And, this person's wife, his wife who knew him for many years, his wife of 30 years,
wow,
fell for it. She didn't think twice, she didn't verify the information, but she fell for it, and she destroyed her life and her husband's life. Mm-hmm. And the vision that this man had, a very strong vision, a powerful vision that he worked hard for, but, with a little bit of fake news, it was all demolished. We can be involved in fake news on a daily basis, especially through WhatsApp. So please be careful. Please understand that, not everything you get you should even engage with, you should read, you should forward, you should like and comment on.
Yeah, I know with Eid coming up, we always get fake news of who saw the moon or the crescent being spotted. It's always the same person in Saudi Arabia every single year that's been seeing the moon for the past 300 years, right? And Sometimes you go on moonsighting.com and it's scientifically impossible to see the moon, in that region, but miraculously some people do see it. So maybe we should ask, what is the Islamic perspective on fake news? Like when someone comes to you and tells you something, do I just trust him right away, or the news, or what's my homework I need to do?
Yeah, so basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49, very, very beautiful chapter, a chapter that, it'll never get old as much as you read it. Talks about a lot of social issues, a lot of social illnesses that could be cured through the Quran. Verse number 6, he says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنْ جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَأٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Allah says basically that once you get, believers, once you get any news, verify it. Once you get a piece of news from a wicked person, someone who's not just, someone who's not noble, someone who's not truthful, then investigate. Why? أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. Because you might accuse a certain person, a certain community, a certain family of something that they have not done, and then you will be regretful. And we all become so regretful when we accuse people of not doing something. We think they did it, we think that those guys hate us, we think those guys have an agenda against us, and then we realize, no, that's not the case. We feel regretful. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us this. So who's spreading this, and sometimes we see people who are reliable retweeting or talking about it, so we think that they are the creators of this. But no, it's those guys who fell for whoever was making this news, whoever was creating it, and then there's a lot of engagement. We also have an entire discipline within the religion of Islam, specifically the Shi'i madhab. Though other schools have it as well, but in the Shi'i madhab, it's something that is heavily heavily emphasized on, and that is ilm al-rijal. Ilm al-rijal, what it is, it's basically a way for scholars to verify hadiths that they get, because you can't just read a hadith and say Imam al-Sadiq said this, Imam al-Baqir said this, Imam al-Kadhim said this. You may falsely be attributing this to the Imam. So if the Imam didn't say it, and you said he said it,
right?
Nobody would like that. Nobody would like that. Specifically if you're attributing it to a faith leader, such as an Imam, such as a prophet. So we have to verify that. Before we say Imam al-Sadiq said this, Imam al-Baqir said this, we have to make sure, did they really say this or not? That is why we have ilm al-rijal. Ilm al-rijal verifies every person who is in the chain of narrators. Is this person truthful? Is this person a fabricator? Is this person a liar? Is this person somebody who is forgetful? And then they even verify, because some people were creating hadith. For example, they were saying, we saw Rasulullah do this in Mecca.
Right.
But they weren't even Muslim at that time. They had not even met Rasulullah at that time. But they were doing this in another country to another set of people, 20 years after Rasulullah, and they didn't know. So basically they do what's called the verification of the tabaqat. Tabaqat is when you actually see this guy's date of birth and when he died, and see whether he could have been a companion of Imam al-Baqir or not, or he was born, for example, in the time of Imam al-Jawad. Things like that happen all the time. And that is why we have, ilm al-rijal to verify all the information before it is stated. That is why, when we get a lot of those du'as or weird hadiths on our phone, we should ask ourselves, is this a made-up, fabricated hadith attributed to the ma'sumin, or is this real? That is why then comes the discipline of verification of books, verification of scholars. They say, those scholars would only narrate from those who were truthful, those who were very valid in the way that they spoke and narrated from the ma'sumin. And others, no, they weren't so, particular about that issue. So, or in this book he was, in this book he wasn't. So you have to verify books, you have to verify scholars, you have to verify narrators in many different ways, and that is the science of ilm al-rijal.
Yeah. This all leads to us knowing that it's very important for us to have our own news outlets, for our own media outlets, especially encouraging the youth to get involved in journalism and media. People that watch CNN and Fox News, they live on completely different planets. And I'm not saying either one of those channels are good, because I think both of them spread misinformation in their own way.
Definitely.
So we need outlets that cater to our social worldview, and we should encourage all of our youth to get involved in journalism. Can you talk a little bit about the importance about Muslim youth and journalism?
Yeah, of course. For example, we let me use this person as an example to better elaborate on this point. Brother Mahdi Hassan, he's a successful journalist. A lot of people are now influenced by him. And I would like to ask the younger brothers and sisters or their parents to try to put them on this road to success,
Right.
to become successful journalists and to have an impact on media. Basically, and from Brother Mahdi Hassan to help in whatever possible way that he can to aid, young Muslim journalists, teach them, mentor them, make time for them, because that would be his greatest of investment. We sit there and we complain so much about Islamophobes, Islamophobia, people who are spreading misinformation about Islam. And when it comes to the Shi'i madhab, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, imagine people until today, they believe that you have, with the Shia, they have a different Quran.
Right.
Until today, people feel that, some people believe that we believe that the Prophet should have been Imam Ali, but Jibreel went to the Prophet Muhammad by mistake.
Right.
That's why we hate Jibreel. Some people believe that we worship the Imams, or all this misinformation, it hurts us, right? It hurts us, and we are constantly accused. You disrespect the Sahaba, you disrespect the wives of Rasulullah, you do this. All this misinformation, while if we go to those who are accusing us, we find that all those things are within their books.
Right.
All those things that are being stated are within their books. Not only that, but there's disrespect to Rasulullah. There is disrespect to Allah.
Wow.
Literally, God is being disrespected in some of those hadith. But, it's all about the propaganda and the brainwashing and misinformation, false information, about the fake news. So we sit there and we complain so much, but brothers and sisters, what have we done? And that is why I feel it's very important that our youth start engaging with the media. When it comes to areas where you need to stand up for the madhab of Ahlul Bayt, then you must do so. When you need to stand up for the religion of Islam, you must do so. When you need to stand up for the Holy Quran, you need to do so. And you need to do that while you're skilled, while you're capable, while you're aware, and while you can be a competitor to those guys that are spreading all this fake news about you. And that is why, you find that Mahdi Hassan is able to do that, because he's gone to a powerful platform. Now he has a following, people are listening to him, and he has his own influence. But others need to make sure that they're working towards that goal, to even become better than him, to even become more powerful than him.
Right.
We have a clip on this Instagram account that is me asking people to join me in studying the Quran, the quick look into the glorious book. It's like a form of advertising for that series, because I even said in one of those shows, I think, that I did whatever I can in my ability to take the Quran into people's homes and let them study and understand it. And just go and read the comments on that post.
Right.
People calling me mushrik, calling us different Quran, the Shia. I don't want to take my Quran from a mushrik.
Follow the Sunnah.
My Quran is your Quran.
Right.
It's the Quran. Did you even take 5 minutes to listen to one of those episodes and see whether we are saying something so unusual?
Right.
So it's all this fake news that has poisoned the Muslim community so much that I feel we're in a very bad situation. I had somebody email me saying, we had like about 10 exchange of emails where he was saying, very, very hurtful things in the beginning. Obviously, I wasn't hurt because I knew he was brainwashed about how we have a different agenda to spread a different religion and I said, wait a minute. Try to prove that to me from my words, from what I have said. It's all on that page. And slowly he started running out of everything. He started using other people from the Shi'i madhab, and I said, if you want to do this, I'll just show you a video of ISIS, beheading somebody, playing football with somebody's head after beheading that person's head. Are you going to be responsible for that? You can't be responsible for them. So I'm responsible for myself. I am responsible for the scholars I emulate. I say those guys are my exemplary figures. Now, if you have a problem with that, come and let's discuss it. But if you're gonna run away from this discussion because you just want to have accusations thrown at me, we have to stop. And I realized that after the last conversation we had, he was apologizing. He was praying for me and saying thank you for making time. The reason why I made time, to be honest with you, is I felt obligated because this person was so brainwashed, and I'm sure he was sitting there brainwashing other people, that you needed to calm him down. And then now those type of people actually go out and say, I had this encounter, and the Shia are Shia. Yeah, they're not Sunni. Sunnis are not Shia, but they're Muslim and they have the same Quran. We have a certain, we have reasons why we're Shia, and you have reasons why we're Sunni. But there's no need for us to keep on fighting and accusing each other, especially when it comes to the Quran, because the Quran is the book that unites us.
Right. Yeah, that reminds me of a story. This past year when I was in Hajj, our cousins and I, we were harassed by a few, those people that are called mutawa'in. They're basically like the religious police within the haram in Medina. So we were reading a ziyarat Amin Allah, and one of those gentlemen came up to us and started harassing us. And there was a person in our Hajj group that was, he was speaking English, he was from America, it was an American group. So he thought this guy was a convert, and he said, you shouldn't be with these Shia. They think Ali ibn Abi Talib is the son of God. They worship him, whatever. So he was like, no, we don't do that.
Yeah.
So he wanted to arrest him, and it got very blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
Eventually the guy lost his job, and he came back to our hotel apologizing and saying, hey, look, I'm sorry I harassed you, but I lost my job. But it was crazy. The things he was saying were so illusionistic that they had no basis in reality whatsoever. And we were giving him certain proofs and hadiths in their books, exposing certain things. But at the end of the day, some people are so far into their own mindset and brainwashed that I don't think there's a way out of it. I think we covered everything today. I don't really know if we had any specific questions within the comment section. Maybe
there was an important question, and that is pertaining, whether it is halal to work in the media sector,
right,
and whether it's halal to work for Muslim media, for example. So Muslim media, non-Muslim media. You see, because of the fact that I travel a lot between Iran and the United States, I live between those two countries, and obviously those two countries can't see eye to eye. And there's so much hate being spread from both sides,
right,
and propaganda driven by politics, right?
Definitely.
And here the people are confused. The authorities, they know exactly what's going on. But the people get confused. So I remember, when I go to Iran, for example, and you turn on the television, and for example, now a lot of people are asking me from Iran, oh, can you buy bread? Can you buy your food essentials? Are you being able to survive? And I'm like, yeah, we're fine. And they're like, oh, they're showing in the on the TV that all the Americans are buying guns and rifles and attacking each other's and acting like cowboys, and
Wow.
there's no food in the supermarkets, and I was like, no, man, there's plenty of food. In fact, people are overeating now. They're gaining weight. They're becoming obese. Same thing goes for the United States and how it treats America, how it treats Iran, obviously with spreading all this misinformation driven by politics. I remember, for example, when the outbreak happened, America was making it seem like everybody in Iran is going to be annihilated, they're going to die because of COVID within the next 2 weeks.
Right.
And people were so panicking. But now, things have switched around. America's suffering from it. So basically what I was trying to say is when there's political motives, the truth is changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the truth is changed, there is a problem. Sometimes you find that Muslim news agencies or most Muslim media will change the truth.
Right.
And you will say, why? And they'll say, because this has a greater reason. There's a greater reason behind it. And sometimes you see that non-Muslim news agencies will do the same thing. So can you work, for example, for a news agency or media that one of its most important pillars is to defame and destroy the religion of Islam? Can you work for them?
Definitely.
No.
Right.
Can you work for a news agency that their main concern is, for example, to change the truth in regards to many of the for example, democratic principles, such as immigration? They're anti-immigrants, they're anti-minorities, they're anti-African Americans, they're anti-Hispanics, they're anti-Mexicans, they're anti-everything. Can you work for them? No. That's not possible. You'll be a sellout, and you will be responsible in the Day of Judgment. God will ask you for giving failure to be part of failing so many people. In the same time, can you be part of a news agency that's spreading false information whatsoever? No. So what is the solution? If you get into media, if you get into journalism, and you can change something, then you may work with all those guys that we just mentioned. If you feel that there's hope in changing and bringing positive change. But if you're just there because you need a job or you need to get paid, that is not, that you can find somewhere else. You can work somewhere else. The other thing is the fact that we need Muslim media.
Right.
We need Islamic media. But by Islamic, what do I mean? I mean fair. I mean honest. I mean transparent. I mean, a media that enhances the reputation of Islam and Muslims, but in the same time is fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be spreading misinformation. It's not going to be spreading. For example, I'll give you an example. While Muslims have an issue with some Jews. But Muslims should not have an issue with all Jewish people or the Jewish faith.
Right.
There are very kind Jewish people. There are, they could be your good friends. They're not out there to get you. So, if you have an Islamic or Muslim quote unquote Islamic or Muslim media that is making all Jewish people look bad, that's wrong.
Right.
Similarly, if you're a Jew and you're making all Muslims look bad, that's also wrong. So that's why I mean fairness. Media has to be fair, and media has to basically strive at this time to spread peace on this earth, not to spread violence and hatred. It's
Is there any questions in the live broadcast by any chance?
so. I mean, there is, but I think like
We covered them.
I think like we've said before. I would like to ask, or you may ask, or we can both ask people to leave their questions in the comment section. That way, we don't have to go into the comment section. But there, I found one, and that is asking about the process of verifying news.
Right.
So do you want us to talk about that, or?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't get my news from one single source.
Yeah.
I look up a few different sources. If I see an article about someone going to the moon with a Honda Civic or something, I see it on one news outlet, I'm probably going to Google that, see if it was covered by 4 or 5 different agencies with different worldviews, different backgrounds. If it was on one, then that's shady, right? Just like anything, I try to stay away from that. I definitely hate when people forward me stuff on WhatsApp. Whenever something is forwarded to me on WhatsApp, that's the biggest form of propaganda, and I just dislike it so much. I try to abstain from going on social media, as you know, because I don't see that I can use it productively and to my advantage. Not saying social media is bad. We're doing this and spreading good, positive feedback on social media. But for me, I just don't really like social media that much. But I'd suggest that, if you want to find some news, go on 4 or 5 different platforms. Find maybe a German outlet, an American outlet, an outlet in another country, and compare all of them on one article. And then there's ways to basically just go on Wikipedia and type CNN, see who owns it, see if maybe they're on the New York Stock Exchange. Maybe they're doing all this that way their stocks can rise. There's always these factors within news outlets, and you could even authors that write articles, you could Google their name and learn about them as well, learn about their background, see their worldview, their biases.
Definitely, yeah.
So I think just with anything else, try to get your news from multiple outlets. Don't be so quick to believe something or share something right away. A lot of people also do this, they see a headline, and before they read the full article, they send it to someone, and they're like, how crazy is this?
Yeah.
It's like you just read the headline, just read the whole article. So those are
also with people, like if you get fake news about people.
Right.
Sometimes, this is very unfortunate, but in the beginning of the month of Ramadan, or before the month of Ramadan, at the outbreak of COVID, there is a lot of people spreading fake news about COVID, about Imam Ali saying this, about this, that, hadiths talking about, coronavirus. And, I did a little clip about that. So I wonder, was this somebody who wanted to make Imam Ali look good, so he wrote this speech and attributed it to Imam Ali, so that, he would say, oh, Imam Ali foresaw the future.
Right.
Or was this some sort of entity or some sort of person who wanted to see how gullible the Shia community is?
Right.
And he created something, and it went around and around. And what baffled me the most is I saw some scholars, so-called scholars,
that's sad,
reading this and saying, look, Habibi, you're a scholar. Before you read this, did you see which book this came from? Right. Who is the author of that book? Who compiled this hadith? What is in the chain of narrators? No. They're just sitting there and they're reading this hadith as if it's something, valid, and it came from Imam Ali, and they're saying, subhanallah, look how Imam... So sometimes, we have to be very careful. Don't get excited too quickly.
Yeah.
Because this can damage Imam Ali.
Right.
Now people are going to say, all the things he said in Nahj al-Balagha is the same thing. So it's going to discredit the Ma'sumi. Same thing goes for personalities now. You find that there's a lot of stories praising certain scholars.
Right.
And, I travel around, so a lot of people a lot of youth especially ask me, is it true that this scholar is this? Like, he has supernatural powers. Is it true that this scholar, for example, can travel, time travel, and the likes of such questions and stories. And when you say no, they feel like you're either A, disrespecting the scholar, or B, you don't know. Like, this guy probably doesn't know. The other alim who came, he knows. The guy that sat them down, in the middle of the night, and he was telling them all those weird stories.
Right.
They somehow now think that guy knows. But Jawad Qazwini, who tells them this is not true. No alim was traveling, teleporting himself or stuff like that. Now, he doesn't know. I'm not denying that, nor I'm saying it exists, but I'm saying if I have that power and I'm so close to Allah, I'm not going to be sitting there announcing to everybody that I was in Karbala last night at 1 a.m. and then I snapped my finger at 2 p.m. I was in Qom, I snapped my finger, I was in Mecca, and then I came back, and now I'm telling everybody this.
That would be a good mileage program.
So
you'd rack up a lot of miles.
So you have to be careful on what you hear, who you hear it from, get it verified, see any hidden agendas. Our time's up, but this alim, for example, this particular alim, I'll say this and with this we conclude, this particular alim, he doesn't say those things, by the way. Those maraja', they don't say those things. They don't get involved. They're sitting at their house. But I work for this marja', or I want him to become the most popular. It's like the Ronaldo Messi type of
PR.
Rivalry.
Right.
So I'm Team Messi. This guy is Team Ronaldo, and I have to keep on proving to my opponent that my guy is better.
Yeah.
My team is gonna win, and some people are doing that with maraja', unfortunately.
Right.
So this guy makes up a story that this alim went and such thing happened in Jamkaran. This guy is like, what's this guy saying? Jamkaran. I'll make it Najaf. The other one is making it Karbala. The other one is making it Baghdad. And then you realize that no, this became part of how, a lot of discussions where supernatural events are taking place, and it becomes part of the belief system, and that is dangerous.
Right.
So anyhow, we'll stop here. There's a lot to be said. We'll try to keep it short. And I guess we will meet our audience not tomorrow but the day after, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your guys' feedback, your guys' positivity. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting us. I'd appreciate it if you guys share this with everyone. Let us know how we're doing, what we could do to improve, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. From me, assalamu alaikum, and please keep us in your dua.
Brothers and sisters, keep us in your dua, and inshallah, until next time, I leave you with the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.